السلام عليكم مستر، أنا علي حمد.
هلا عليكم السلام.
السلام عليكم مستر.
السلام
أنا
عليكم
لويس.
مستر محمد هاني. أنا حمدان سالم العامري.
وعليكم
السلام
السلام.
عليكم أستاذ، أنا محمد عمر.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. أهلا وسهلا بالجميع. طيب خلينا نبدأ نحن. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Math grade 7. Today we want to learn complex fractions and today we want to learn complex fractions and unit traits. Complex fractions and unit traits. What's the meaning of complex fractions? What's the meaning of complex fractions? So today we want to know what the meaning of complex fractions and how to simplify complex fractions. How to simplify complex fractions. So complex fractions are fractions with a numerator.
السلام عليكم مستر محمد هاني.
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Or both that are also fractions. What's the meaning of complex fractions? Are fractions with a numerator or denominator or both that also fraction. How? Let's look to the first example. As you see here, we have fraction up. The numerator here, as you see, we have one whole number, but down in the denominator.
Mister, we don't see anything.
Oh, sorry.
هي أستاذ ما نشوف شيء.
Sorry. Is it clear now?
Yes, mister.
Okay.
Yes, mister.
What I said, today we want to learn what the meaning of complex fractions and how to simplify complex fractions. How to simplify complex fractions. At the first, what's the meaning of complex fractions? What's the meaning of complex fractions? Complex fractions are fractions with a numerator. So, complex fractions are fractions with a numerator or denominator or both that are also fraction. How? Listen to the first example here. As you see here, we have a fraction. Up we have 1. In the numerator we have 1 whole number, but down in the denominator we have a fraction. When you have up or down fraction, means we have complex fraction. In the second example here, up in the numerator we have fraction, and here down we have whole number. So means we have complex fraction, because up we have fraction. So when we have in the numerator or in the denominator or in the both fraction, means we have complex fraction. This is the meaning of complex fraction. Look to this example. Here we have up and we have.
Mister, I don't can to see the screen.
What?
Mister, I don't see.
You cannot see?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Mister, we can't see, but Salim doesn't see.
Just Salim?
Yes.
Okay, I will repeat the share. Okay, now it's clear for all now?
Yes,
mister. It's clear.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, clear.
Okay. So,
Yes, I can see now.
Okay. So this is the meaning of complex fraction. Complex fraction, when you see in the denominator fraction or in the numerator fraction or in the both means we have complex fractions. Are fractions with a numerator or denominator or both that also fraction, that also fraction. For this example here, as you see, up we have whole number, down we have fraction. So that means we have here complex fraction, complex fraction. In the second example, up we have a fraction and down we have whole number. So that means we have here complex fraction. We have complex fraction. And in the last example, as you see, up we have fraction and down we have fraction. So we have complex fraction. So the complex fraction, suppose we have down fraction in the denominator or up fraction in the numerator, or the both. They have fraction. This is the meaning of complex fraction. See with me now this video.
We've done unit rates and we've done some double number lines. We've done both those with integers. We haven't really talked about how to use them with fractions. We've done a little bit of fractions, but we have to use this idea of what's called a complex fraction. Okay. Here you go. Here's your definition. I would suggest putting this in your note, in your notes, and we'll take a look here and see what these actually look like. So a complex fraction is when we have a fraction in the numerator and the denominator, or maybe both. Both the numerator and the denominator are fractions. So let's take a look. Here are some examples of complex fractions. Okay, and what we're doing here is it's kind of important to understand which of them is the numerator and which is the denominator. So in this first one, take a look. Okay, so hopefully you looking and you saw that 1/2 in this case, right? In this case, it's 1/2. All right, is the numerator. That's being divided into 6 pieces. Okay, so I'm taking 1/2 and breaking it into 6 groups. No, get out of there. Okay, and then take a look at the second one and decide what's going on there. All right, so I have, this one is 8 divided into 2/3. Okay, so this together is actually the denominator. Okay, and then let's take a look at the third one. And looking at the third one, actually, this is a really complex fraction because I have 3/4, right? And I'm dividing it into groups of 1/2. Okay, so this is the big division symbol here. Okay, so taking 3/4 and dividing it into half. All right, let's move on. All right, so the steps for solving these are going to be pretty much the exact same thing, all right? We're going to find the ratio that we know. We're going to plan where we're going to put it on the number line. Then we're going to put the ratio we know in the number line, and then we're going to use that information to find some other ratios. Okay, I would suggest pausing the video and writing this down. All right, so here's an example. All right, John Cena walked 1/2 mile in 1/4 of an hour. How fast did John Cena walk? Okay, now the reason I was talking about the complex fractions is you could do this without a double number line, and I'll show you how to do that in a second here. But let's first start with the double number line. All right, so first thing we're going to do is identify our units. We're walking a distance, right? 1/2 mile. So I've got miles and I've got hours, all right? And then I'm trying to find how fast did he walk, right? So I'm trying to figure out how fast, right? And fast means his speed. What is his speed? What is his speed? That's what I'm really trying to find here. Okay, and what that's going to look like is it's going to be some number of miles. We don't know yet, right? Some number, and per 1 hour. So what we need to do is we need to find a unit rate. We need to find how much it is for 1 hour. So I'm going to put miles on the top here. And I'm going to put 1 hour here. And I'm going to assume that, well, in this case, if he was walking for 0 hours, he would walk 0 miles. Okay. Now, let's decide what it is we know. Well, we know we have 1/2 mile in 1/4 of an hour, and I'm trying to find out 1 hour, right? So I know less than 1 hour. So in fact, I'm going to put this in here, and I'm going to say 1 hour. Okay, and I'm going to find the miles, and then I'm just going to go through here, and I'm going to divide this into fourths, okay? Because I know in 1/4 of an hour, he goes 1/2 of a mile, okay? And I'm going to put in, so then I've got 2/4 of an hour, which is the same as a half, and then 3/4 of an hour, right? And then 1 hour is the same as 4/4. Those are equivalent. By 1/2, right? So 1/2, this would be 2 halves. Okay, and then if I go again, this would be 3 halves. Okay, and if I go again, this would be 4 halves. So what he does is in 1 hour, he travels 4/2 of a mile. Well, 4/2 mile is 2, right? So how fast is he going? Well, in 1 hour, he travels 2 miles. So he's walking at 2 miles for 1 hour. Okay, so his speed here would be 2 miles per hour. Right? Now, let's say I wanted to do this as a complex fraction, okay? Because a double number line is not the only way to do it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, all right, if I need to find miles, right, in 1 hour, all right, well, I'm going to set this up so I know that this is setting my ratio here is telling me which things to put in already. I know I have to go 1/2 mile. Okay, and I'm going to divide it by 1/4 hour. Okay, so now I have a complex fraction. I'm taking it's divided by 1/4, and you remember hopefully that when you divide a fraction, what we end up doing is we multiply by the reciprocal. Okay, and so then I'm going to end up with 4 halves, which is the same, which is 2 miles per hour. Okay. Nice work, John Cena. Let's take a look at another one. All right. Mr. Clark rode his bike 2.5 miles in 1/3 hour. How fast did he ride? All right. So first, let's identify our units here. All right. I got miles and I got hour, and I need to know how fast, right? So how fast means miles. You could do MPH, but I think before you do this, it's important that you understand that MPH, right, miles per hour, is miles in 1 hour. Okay, so I've identified my units. Let's go ahead and put in the chart here, and I want to find out 1 hour, right? So I'm going to put hour here, and we'll put miles here. Okay. An hour. So if I put this over here, I'm going to plan. I want my 1 hour here. No one know how many miles it is. Okay, and then I know 1/3. So I'm going to break this up into thirds. So here and here. So I've got 1/3, and then 2/3, and then 1 hour is the same as 3/3. Okay, so let's go ahead and fill in. Okay, 2.5 miles. Right, so this would be 2.5. Right, and then if I go another 1/3, right? Notice this is a third. These are the piece same size. So if there's one of these things, one of these. So if I do 2 of these, so 2.5 times 2, right? 2.5 again is going to be 5, right? Because it's 2 plus 2, and then a half and a half, right? So 2.5 plus 2.5 is equal to 2 plus 2 is 4, and a half is 2 halves. 2 halves is 1, so this is 5. Okay, that's how I got that. And then let's go ahead and I'm going to do it one more time. So and a half miles, right? So I'm going 7.5 miles per hour. Okay, so when I'm riding my bike, I'm traveling at 7, and because this is a fraction, I'm going to leave it as a fraction. Okay, you could also write as a decimal, but we're going to leave it here. 7.5 miles in 1 hour. Excuse me. Or you could say 7.5 miles per hour. Okay, this one I like better though, because it shows me that you fully understand. And again, keeping the ratios nice and lined up, using the units. I think it's just a nicer way of doing it. Okay, and again, you could have done this by using a complex fraction and said, let's take a look at that. Let's do it that way. This would be, right, I'm doing miles, right, per hour. So in order to find my unit rate for this, I'm going to take 2.5 and divide it by 1/3, okay? Well, if you do that, we can say 2.5, right, divided by 1/3, okay? Well, this is going to be there's a problem here. You can't take 2.5 and multiply by 3 here unless we actually change this. We should change this into a improper fraction, okay? So let's do 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1. So this is the same as 5 halves times 3 over 1. So that's 15 halves, which is 7.5, okay? Same idea. I think find the one that you find the most success with. All right, I would definitely use the number line to start with, and then if you are feeling pretty good about using the dividing fractions, then go ahead and do that. All right, let's do one more. Okay, Mrs. Johnson visited Meijer since they were having a sale on jelly beans. So Mrs. Johnson paid $2.70 for 2/3 pounds of jelly beans. What is the sale price for jelly beans? So in this case, sale price, all right? So that's what we're trying to find. So we know dollars and we know pounds, okay? Spend for 1 pound, right? So I want to know dollars for 1, and LB is the abbreviation for pound, okay? LB. I don't actually know why. I should look that up and let you guys know. Or maybe one of you guys can look it up and let me know what LB or why it stands for that. So now what I'm going to do is I want you to go ahead and try to solve this problem, okay? Go ahead. Okay, so let me walk you through it. So since I'm doing dollars per pound, I like to try to stay consistent with the way my ratio is set up. So if like dollars is on top and I'm trying to, per pound, I try to set it up the same way. So this would be like the numerator and the denominator. Okay, so I know, in this case, I know 2/3 of a pound and I want to find 1 pound, right? So I need to find 1 pound and I don't know how much that costs. And I know 2/3, right? So 2/3. So I'm going to split my line up into thirds, right? So here's 2/3 of a pound, and I know that's $2. 2/3 and get to, this would be 3/3, right? I can't just go from here to here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back. I'm going to say, how much does 1/3 cost? Okay, so I can just divide $2.70 by half, and I get $1.35. Okay, so look, $1.35, $2.70. Now what I can do is I can take $2.70 and add another $1.35. Okay, line up my decimals, 0 plus 5. This becomes 0. That's a 1. So I get $4.05. $4.05. So in this case, the sale price is $4.05 per pound of jelly beans. Okay, hopefully that made some sense. Be sure to answer the very last question on your Ed puzzle here, and I will see you guys in class.
Okay, this fractions. For example, here we want to solve this example mentally. Then the next example, we can use the rule to do the simplify complex fraction. Here, the question here, simplify a complex fraction. Why is this fraction a complex fraction? Because the numerator is also fraction itself. As you see here, we have here in the numerator we have fraction, and in the denominator we have what? We have whole number, like this. I can here write here we have a fraction. 1 I have complex fraction now. I have complex fraction. Why? Because up in the numerator we have a fraction. Up in the numerator we have what? We have a fraction. Right. Question now. How would you write complex fraction as a division problem? How to change from fraction to the division? Just remove the line here and put the sign of division. So 1 over 4 up, write it here. Then remove the line and put the sign of the division. Then the denominator, put it here. So the first number here, numerator, the second number, denominator. So now we have 1 over 4 divided by 2. How do you rewrite a division problem as a multiplication problem? Multiply the divide by the reciprocal of the divisor. You know from the last year, we have rule to do the divide between a fraction and whole number or between a fraction and a fraction. As you remember, the rule said switch. I will explain in the next example. Now, explain that this complex fraction represents 1 over 4 is being split into 2 equal parts. 1 over 4, we want to divide mentally. We want to divide 1 over 2 to the two equal parts. How could you use this meaning to simplify the fraction mentally? So we have 1 over 4, and 1 over 4 we want to divide this fraction to the two equal parts. So split into two equal parts means that each equal means equal what? Equal 1 over 8. 1 over 8. This example mentally. And this example also mentally. Simplify a complex fraction. What is numerator of the complex fraction? The denominator here, as you see, we have what? We have a fraction in the denominator. Means we have a complex fraction. This ratio, as you see, this ratio, I can write this ratio as a fraction. How? Here up, the numerator we have 1. So write here 1. And down here we have a fraction. The fraction here, as you see, we have 1 over 2. So this fraction, complex fraction, why? Because we have, in the denominator, we have a fraction. In the denominator here, we have what? We have fraction. So, how do you rewrite the complex fraction as a division problem? How to change from fraction or ratio to the division? Write the numerator, 1 here, 1. Then change from the line of fraction to the sign of division. Right here, divide. Then write the denominator. Now, the numerator divided by the denominator. Now, explain in words what the complex fraction represents. How many means, what's the meaning of this mathematical verse? Means how many 1 over 2s are in 1. How many 1 over 2s in 1? Just we have what? We have 2, because 1 over 2 plus 1 over 2 equal what? Equal. So,
No, 2 of.
How? How could you use this meaning to simplify the fraction mentally? There are two sets of 1 over 2 in 1. There are two sets of 1 over 2 in the 1. This is mentally. This is mentally. Now we want to learn how to solve it using the rule. Using the rule. The question here, simplify. And here we have complex fraction. Why we have complex fraction? Because in the denominator here we have fraction. The rule said keep, then change, then switch or flip. Keep means keep the same numerator. Keep the same numerator. So here 4, put here 4. Then change from divide to multiply. Change from divide to multiply. Then flip. What's the meaning of flip? Switch. Put the denominator here. Put the numerator, and the numerator. Here 1 over 5 will be what? Will be 5 over 1. Will be 5. Four times 5 will be 20. 4 times 5 will be 20. The second example. Simplify. Also we have here complex fraction. Why? Because we have in numerator here we have fraction 2 over 3. How to simplify? Use the rule. The rule said keep the numerator, write the numerator here 2 over 3, then change from divide to multiply. So write here multiply, then flip. Here 7. Put numerator, denominator, and the numerator 7 will be what? 1 over 7. 1 over 7. How to multiply two fractions? Multiply numerator by numerator and denominator by denominator. So 2 multiply by 1 and 3 multiply by 7. So 2 multiply by 1, 2 multiply by 1, and 3 multiply by 7 will be 22. Will be 22. Will be 2 over 21. Will be 2 over 20. In the last example here, we want to simplify this form complex fraction also. Why? Because we have a numerator and denominator. At the both here we have fractions. So use the rule. Keep the numerator 1 over 2. Then change from divide to multiply. Then flip. 4 over 5 will be 5 over 4. Switch to numerator, denominator, and denominator, numerator. So flip 4 over 5 will be what? 5 over 4. 5 over 4. Now multiply. 1 times 5 will be 5, and 2 times 4 will be 8. So 5 over 8. Simplify of this form. Who has a question now?
Mr. Now we need to do the rule in every other question.
Yes. If you can,
Okay.
if you can do it, then no problem. If you don't can, you can use the rule. Right.
Okay, Mr.
Who has a question? Right. Let us to take some exercises. Prepare your notebook or any paper.
أستاذ عذر الحمام.
Quickly, please.
مستر يعني درسنا كامل يتكلم عن هذا الثلاث مسائل اللي شرحت لنا اياها ولا في شيء ثاني؟
هذا هو. يعني
اوكي.
يعني تعلمنا شو معنات الكومبلكس فراكشن وكيف انا بعمل له سمبليفاي. هاي بس هذا درسنا اليوم.
اوكي شكرا.
طيب جهز الورقه، جهز الدفتر، راح اعطيك انا مثال الان. We have this complex fraction. Please, I want to from all to do simplify this form.
مستر 2 over 20.
2 over
20 20.
Revise your solving, please. You have a problem.
Mister, 5. Mister, the numerator 5 and the denominator is 8.
What is the last answer?
5.
مستر 20 over 2.
Mister, 5 and 8. 5 and 8.
Let's check together. Focus with me very well. The rule said keep the numerator. So write the same numerator. So we have here 4. Then change from divide to multiply. So multiply. Then flip. Flip. What's the meaning of flip? Switch. Five over 2. So here 5 and here 2, here 2. Now,
Can I go to the bathroom?
how to multiply whole number by fraction? Change the whole number to the fraction. How? 4 will be 4 over 1. 4 over 1.
قادر على الحمام.
Quickly, please. And here we have 5 over 2. Now we can do multiply between the two fractions here. Uh, 4 times 5 will be 20. Then 1 times 2 will be 2. Then
مستر يستوي نحط الفايف بدون بهذا بدال الفور.
5 بدل 4 كيف يعني؟ ما فهمت.
يعني نضرب 5 تايمز 4 الفراكشن.
هلا اذا انت بدك هي المرحله ما تساويها ما في مشكله، فيك مباشره تقول له 4 تايمز 5 ديفايد باي 2 بتعطيك هي المرحله فورا، تمام ما في مشكله. انا رح ارجع احكي شو حكيت في العربي. وقت بيكون عندنا كومبلكس فراكشن يا جماعه وبدي اعمل له سمبليفاي، القاعده شو بتقول؟ بتخلي النوميريتور مثل ما هو، ما بتغير فيه شيء، العدد اللي فوق بنكتبه مثل ما هو سواء كان هو النمبر ولا فراكشن. فالفور كتبناها 4، بنحول العمليه من ديفايد لملتبلاي. اما اللي تحت هو اللي بيتغير، اللي تحت شو بنعمل له؟ بنعمل له فليب او سويتش، بنخلي اللي فوق تحت واللي تحت فوق. فكان 2 اوفر 5 شو بتصير؟ 5 اوفر 2. بعدين بتصير عمليه ضرب، كيف بضرب عدد في فراكشن؟ بحول العدد لفراكشن، الفور بكتبها 4 اوفر 1 تايمز 5 اوفر 2 تايمز 5 20 1 تايمز 2 will be 2. بعدين 20 ديفايد باي 2 شو بتعطيني؟ بتعطيني 10. بتعطيني 10. طب خذوا مثال ثاني. هلا الحين حلوها. يلا اشتغلوا لي بها.
مستر 3/8.
Excellent, excellent. So نعمل simplify للكومبلكس fraction. قاعدة شو بتقول؟ العدد اللي فوق اتركه مثل ما هو، اكتبه مثل ما هو، اسمه keep the numerator. إذا العدد اللي فوق نكتبه مثل ما هو 3 أو بتغير فيه شيء دائما. العدد اللي فوق ثابت. هلا بنحول العملية من divide لملتبلاي. العدد اللي تحت بنعمل له سويتش فليب، بنقلبه، بنخلي اللي فوق تحت واللي تحت فوق. طيب الفور اذا بدنا نقلبها شو بتصير؟ بتصير 1/4. مقلوب الفور شو بتصير؟ 1/4. طيب الان شو في عندي؟ بنضرب فراكشن بفراكشن. هاو تو ملتبلاي فراكشن باي فراكشن. 3 times 1 will be 3.
نضرب اللي فوق وتحت اللي تحت.
تمام. And 7 times 4 will be 28. So the last answer here 3/28. 3/28. So this is our lesson today. Who has a question now? Who has any question?
عندنا homework.
Yes, we have homework. I will send the homework by WhatsApp group and by Microsoft Teams, inshallah. The homework and the PowerPoint.
Okay.
It's clear for all?
Clear.
No questions?
No.
Tomorrow inshallah we have diagnostic exam. بكره ان شاء الله في عندنا بنفس الحصه، بنفس حصه الماث، في عندنا اختبار تشخيصي. طبعا هذا الاختبار ما بده دراسه، عن معلومات السنه الماضيه، تمام؟ فبنفس موعد الحصه بندخل على الحصه وبنلاقي الرابط وبنباشر حل في هالدايجنوستيك تيست. ماشي؟ بس حاولوا ما تغيبوا.
مستر هذا شو يسوي في الشهادة؟
ما يدخل في الشهاده، بس ضروري نعمله.
اوكي مستر.
الاختبار اللي بعده، فلازم الكل يدخل ويعمله، لحتى هذا بنقيس ادائك او استيعابك السنه الماضيه، مشان نحن بناء عليه بنحط خطط علاجيه. علامته ما بتدخل بالشهاده، مثل ما قلت لك ما بده دراسه، هو مراجعه لمعلومات السنه الماضيه. بدخل عليه وحل بتقدر عليه انت، ونحن بناء عليه بنعمل خطه تقويميه. واضح الكلام؟ طيب في حدا له سؤال يا شباب؟ واضحه الامور للجميع؟
هي مستر.
مستر بس بسألك سؤال.
واضحة.
هل كل أسبوع راح يتغير الدرس ولا
نعم.
كل يوم؟
ما فهمت عليك.
أقول هل كل أسبوع راح يتغير الدرس يعني ولا يوميا راح يتغير؟
امبارح شو اخذنا؟ شو كان عنوان درسنا امبارح؟ ريتس، ما هيك؟ واليوم شو اخذنا؟ كومبلكس فراكشن. معناتها تغير الدرس
فراكشن.
ولا ما تغير؟
أوكي.
هلا اسبوعيا رح ناخذ
بالأسبوع مرة نغير.
في عندنا يوم الخميس دائما مراجعه. يوم الخميس عندنا اياها دائما مراجعه للاسبوع للدروس اللي اشتغلنا فيها ضمن الاسبوع. تمام؟ طيب. Thank you for your listening. Have a nice day. See you tomorrow. السلام عليكم.